Hi. So today you're going to start with an exercise, and it may at first seem like a simple concept, but it is challenging. You are going to have to remove this cloud that's circled in red over here. So I'm going to um, zoom in here on this cloud, and I'm going to turn the eyeball off on that layer. Then I'm going to get the clone stamp tool. I am going to set my size at around, I guess 30 is good. And I want my hardness to be 0. I want it to be pretty soft, okay? So now click to close that box. And I'm going to go to the background layer. So taking my sample, I'm going to take one from here to work onto here. So I'm sampling from here. I'm going to, oops, I notice my opacity is not 100%. Make my opacity 100%. So I'm clicking here and sampling over that. It looks pretty straightforward, doesn't it? It's a nice blue there. Okay, now you know if I go any further, I start to copy that sky that was already there. So I'm going to just do a little dot there to get rid of that light spot. I'm going to do what I just did again. I'm going to click here and work over those clouds and darken it a bit. Okay, so now you see the challenge is that a sky goes from very dark over here to very light over here, but it also goes from dark to light in this direction. So we are getting this nice dark color here. I'm going to start working from this side now. I'm going to get in here close. I'm going to get rid of that cloud from this direction. Go in here again. Get rid of the cloud from this direction. And then I'm going to go up here, do that again. And so what you see I have is a dark up against a light. And it looks like as it goes from here to here that it's gotten lighter, when it truly hasn't, because you saw I kept sampling from the same area. So that's just an illusion. So I am going to click here and get a little bit, you know what, it's too big. I'm going to reduce the size of my circle now. Click here, brush over that. Just one little spot here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is play with the opacity. So I'm going to make the opacity about 50%. And I will select from here. So I'm holding down my Option key, which is Alt for PC users. So clicking here, and then I'm going to go to the lighter blue and put a bit of color over that. Okay, now I'm going to go from here and make a bit of a lighter color over that. Now you see I'm getting this striped effect, and I want to minimize that. I'm going to grab from up here and try a bit over here. That didn't work for me. I'm trying not to get too much banding, but I want to get it a little bit even. So I'm going to try this. That worked pretty well. And then I'm going to click from here and go over that. So now I'm going to click from here and go over this. And then I will click from here and lighten that. So it takes some time to get it, and I'm still, let me zoom out here, you can still see I've got this banding, and we're just working back and forth in this direction, but we also are going to have to fix what's happening from dark to light over here. But that is why I keep going along in this one direction. So let me, this band here looks too light, so I'm going to, sorry, this here looks too dark, so I'm going to select from here and go back over there to lighten that, and then click from where I just sampled and go over here, click from here. See, I keep sort of going back and forth, and it's really challenging. I probably have not gone down as far as I should have because now I've got a bit of a problem here. But again, I'll select from here and try to soften that. I'll select from here to soften this area. Go down. Okay. There's a bit of a light spot there. So if I zoom out, it is getting better, but it's taking some time. I need to select from here and darken this, and from there continue to darken and blend. Okay. See, it takes some time, but it's starting to happen. And I'll select from here. Oops, it's going to step on the keyboard. Down, kitty. Okay, and I see a dark band here, so I'm going to click here and lighten that. So when I get it pretty even, at some point you want to avoid getting too many splotches. I get a little bit of splotch there, a little bit of splotch there. I'm actually going to do one more shot here. I'm going to select from here and go over this area. Now what you can do is you can take the eyedropper and pick a blue in that area. So now I've got my foreground color is this blue. And I'm going to take the paintbrush and I'm going to make an opacity of maybe 15. And I'm going to make my brush size a bit bigger, and I'm going to really soften up that hardness. So I've got this big brush here, and then I can just brush over it just a little bit. And I'm holding down my mouse the whole time, because one of the things that happens when you're using a bit of opacity, let me show you the sample over here if I do this too much. If I hold it, get the sample, and I go over it, and then I click off my mouse and I go back on it again, what I can end up doing, it's not working here, let me create a new layer to show you what I'm talking about. If I go and I hit this brush, let me create a select all. I'm going to fill this with white for a moment. Edit, fill, edit, fill, white. Okay. Now I'm going to take this blue brush. Okay. And as I go over, you get this nice soft color, and I can keep brushing till I get it all even. And I'm holding down the mouse the whole time, because if I let my finger off the mouse, which I've just done, and I go back over it, and I just keep clicking on and off, I don't know if you can hear that clicking. What you do is every time you go over something, you darken it, and so you can end up defeating what we're trying to do, which is get rid of these blotchy spots, okay? So now I'm going to close this layer and go back to our sky here. Click on here. I think maybe I have my opacity a little bit too light here. Just let me try 35. So again, I'm going to zip over here, and I'll go into the other areas. You can see the way it's getting a little bit too dark there. So I haven't picked up my finger this whole time, so I can pick up and do Command Z if I don't like that. So I can try again So if I let it go and I lighten this a little bit to hit here. So I think that's looking pretty good. But remember, you have the histories here. So first, don't lift your finger off the mouse too often. But if you realize that you don't like what you've gotten because you've gotten it to be too lots of dots or lots of stripes, you can go back to a stage where you were previously, right? So you can go back to where you were and then start working again. So one thing I want to show you too is if I go back to this stage and I start doing something on there. Now notice, look at my histories panel. Now everything after that disappeared. So don't start working if you want to lose everything that you've just done. But if you need to get rid of everything you've just done, then just go right in there. So if I go back to here, this is where I left off on my sky. So if I hadn't done a nice job with that, just going over with a bit of color, I can do it again. Close that window. So I can just drag down over that again. And if I've ended up making it too dark in some area, again, I can go and use my brush tool to see, excuse me, my histories to back up until I like what I get. Okay? So what you're going to do is go into this assignment. You are going to close this and you are going to make these adjustments, and then you will save as, you're going to save as your final as a, you're going to name it your last name, Sky, and then you're going to make it a JPEG file and save. Okay? You want to save your original file as well. So I'm saving this as a JPEG, but I still have my Sky PSD file here. So I will save as, it's saying I'm still saving. So you want to save your PSD file as well, so that you always get in the habit of always saving your PSD file in case you ever have to go back into something. You don't want to have flattened, which happens when you save something as a JPEG, it automatically flattens it for you. Okay? So then you're going to hand that in, and then you can start on your next assignment. Okay, great.